You are now listening to WSN Wolf Sports Network, live from the University of West Georgia in Carrollton, now an Odyssey station.
It's a brand new season and the end of an era for sports out of pocket.
But to be the man, you gotta beat the man, and I'm saying, woo, right here.
We bring you the craziest controversies.
Really, in hindsight, could have injured Mookie Betts. To me, that deserves a lifetime ban for a game.
Fire me up.
NBA Finals. Let me know. I think it's going to be the Nuggets and the Celtics this year.
I hate to say it, but Steven, you took the words out of my mouth.
And the final Twin Picks.
That's not a debate. That's not a debate. There's always a debate. There's always a debate. You can't debate Lamar Jackson.
And interviews you don't want to miss.
This is the Philly Sports Guy, and you're listening to Sports Out of Pocket.
This is former MLB All-Star Justin Masterson.
Hey, yo, what up? My name is Josh Martinez from Z100 New York.
The final ride starts now.
Let's go!
Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to another incredible episode of Sports Outta Pocket. I am here with the best crew I can do a sports show with. I got the beautiful twins over here, Andrew and Chase Jefferson, and the man controlling our microphones behind the board, Mr. Jackson Voles, and we are excited because tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen, is opening day for Major League Baseball, and you can tell, man, Andrew's ready. He's got his Braves gear on. We're starting off on the road. We're going into California. We're playing the Padres tomorrow. We're going to be here watching the game. Guys, are we excited or what?
Michael King versus Chris Sale. Chris Sale, now if you remember last postseason, it was supposed to be Chris Sale, but that injury restricted him from being on the mound. So he finally gets his redemption shot at San Diego, and it's going to be Profar's return, except he's going to be in the Braves threat. So there's a lot of storylines that go into this game, and I could not be any more excited.
I also want to talk about what a start to the season. 4 games in San Diego, 3 games in LA. Thank goodness we come back home and play the Marlins, because we need some type of breather. That is a brutal way to start the season, but it's good for the Braves. Get the hard games early, get your game going, and I'm excited to see what this rotation is going to look like, minus Max Fried and minus Spencer Strider for the time being. Yep. Big opportunity for
Sean Murphy.
Jackson, I know you can't be too excited about the Cardinals, but, I mean, you are a baseball fan, so aren't you excited to watch some baseball?
Oh, I'm excited to watch some baseball because this is the first time that Sonny Gray is pitching against his old team, the Minnesota Twins. Do I think we're going to win? No. But,
yeah.
I'm still excited because baseball season's back. It's my favorite sport, and I'm just excited that, it's this time of year again.
Of course.
Man, I mean, like I said, man, the weather's getting warmer. It's getting better outside. I mean, don't get me wrong, the pollen's going crazy. But, I mean, it just feels like it's baseball season, and that's what you can be excited about. And like you said, I'm with Jackson on this one. Baseball is my favorite sport. I grew up watching it. That is my cup of tea right there. And watching baseball tomorrow, there's nothing better. But with all that being said, let's get into the show.
I'm just here so I won't get fined.
We're in here talking about practice.
It's time for the latest sports controversies.
All right, so moving on from baseball, there was some football news that came out last night, and in fact, it broke right in the middle of the playbook last night, and Russell Wilson is now a New York Giant, and that to me is shocking. I was not expecting the Giants to make a move. Like, I thought the Giants were going to go straight to the draft to find a quarterback, but it looks like not. I mean, it looks like they're going Russell Wilson is going to be their guy.
And expected, the Steelers, I kind of expected Russell Wilson to be their starting QB this season based on the acquisition of DK Metcalf because, they had that previous connection before. So, looking at the Steelers situation, I wanted to ask y'all, is it Aaron Rodgers' season?
And you know what? I
to retire? Yes.
I don't want the Steelers to have to go that route because I feel like now I know Richard from Sports Pack is a lot higher on Aaron Rodgers than I am, but I think that his digression plays. It doesn't play up to par to what the Steelers have in terms of offensive weapons like they do have in DK Metcalf. And I just feel like if they have to stick with Aaron Rodgers, it's not going to complement that receiving room because Aaron Rodgers is not the same Aaron Rodgers we saw for all those several years in Green Bay. And I feel like Russell Wilson was the better option. So to me, if they can stray away from Aaron Rodgers and find more of a dual threat, find a younger guy with a better arm, I feel like that's a better option than going with a vet who might not even stay healthy. I know they have Kyle Rudolph, but that's also not a good route to go.
Listen, they messed up here. Like it's evident that the Steelers have been in a quarterback debacle for a long time now, and the problem is the O line. Like you said, Russell Wilson, as immobile as he is, that was a problem for Wilson last year. Was trying to deal with that O line, which is why a lot of people thought it was controversial. They moved on from Justin Fields because I'll give Russell Wilson his flowers. He didn't look bad in Pittsburgh.
He made the offense better.
When you have they have good weapons on offense, but when you need a guy who can deal with an O line like that, Justin Fields had to be the answer because he was mobile and he can do more with his feet, create more opportunities. Well, now you don't have Russell Wilson. Now you don't have Justin Fields.
They have Mason Rudolph.
Dude, listen, and Mason Rudolph, he's in the back of my mind, and Aaron Rodgers is too, because like you said, Andrew, everybody thought, oh, Aaron Rodgers, if he's healthy, he can do great. He was healthy last year, and that was an awful performance. Rodgers' time is done. It should be, and I just don't know what the Steelers are going to do.
So the only way I see this working out is if the Steelers trade up early in the draft, because I believe it's a 2-quarterback set going in the first round, and it's going to be Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders. So the only way that's going to work out is Steelers trading up to get one of those guys, and I just don't know what's going to happen.
I don't think they're going to have to trade up. I think
unless they wait for Jackson Dart.
Do you think that Cam Brown and Shedeur are still going to be like gone off the board? Like, I mean, because let's see, Cam Ward's probably going to be gone in the top 5. I mean, he's going Tennessee, and then what we're thinking is Shedeur might be going to Oakland, Vegas. So you're on the Raiders.
Yeah. Well, I'm also looking. We were also talking about Cleveland Browns getting a quarterback, but they had it's recent news with what Dak Prescott circulating.
It's a rumor, but that would break the internet for me. Like I want Dak Prescott personally to get out of Dallas so bad, but Cleveland's not what I have in mind. I love Dak Prescott.
That's the thing. Cowboys offered Dak Prescott the most, like one of the most luxurious quarterback contracts ever in history. So I don't think maybe they are trying to find just so they don't have to pay all that money. But knowing the ownership of Dallas, I don't think Dak Prescott's going anywhere.
They're already paying out the butt for Deshaun Watson. And the Butts and Deshaun Watson do go together in more ways than one. But then if you throw in Dak Prescott's contract in Cleveland mixed in with the mess with Deshaun Watson, I don't know how you had the capital.
Not just Myles Garrett. Remember the contract they just gave Myles Garrett?
Exactly.
Like 200.
And I do want to point out, even though the Giants got Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston, I don't think it's far-fetched to say that the Giants still don't go a quarterback in the draft and let him develop behind 2 veteran guys, because that's the new wave in the NFL. That's the new wave in the NFL. You let a young quarterback develop behind a veteran for 1 or 2 years, like they did with Jordan Love, and you get more success.
So I want to ask you, because we have 1 minute left in this segment, who is going to be the Steelers quarterback in 2025?
Jackson Dart.
Jackson Dart?
I like to tell you, I think Jackson Dart's going to fall right into their hands. That would be amazing for Steelers fans.
I don't like it. I'm praying for you, Pittsburgh, but it's going to be Aaron Rodgers.
I'm going to split the table here. I'm going to have to go Aaron Rodgers, siding here with Chase Jefferson. I just think they get a quarterback in the late rounds to
That's
develop
the thing.
behind
And I don't think. I think my whole thing is I think Jackson Dart is still a guy that can work in that Steelers offense.
100%.
And let's be honest, man, Aaron Rodgers and Mike Tomlin, two of the guys with big heads and egos going at it. I don't think that's going to work for a Steelers offense. I just don't. Aaron Rodgers is a diva, and let's be honest, Mike Tomlin a little bit of a diva as well. So,
100%.
like I said, man, I just don't think that chemistry is going to work out. But with all that being said, let's go ahead and get into some debating.
2 brothers, same birthday, completely different takes.
Oh, boy! Yes!
It's time for Twin Picks.
All right, Twins. It is, what is it? It's 2-0 or so, Chase, you have the lead. Andrew, you're looking to get this win because, man, if you don't get this win right now, man, is it pretty much over?
I'm pretty sure that Chase solidifies it.
Look, I'm going to be like the West Georgia Wolves yesterday. I might be down by a lot, but I'm about to go on a stretch and make this a game.
And how'd that end, by the way?
Yeah.
Okay, but the innings going to be different.
Statistically, we have 1 more Twin Picks left of the season.
Statistically. So, like I said, it's nothing's decided yet, but, guys, Andrew, man, you've got to bring it in this debate right here, because if you don't, it looks like Chase is going to walk away being the overall better twin, because we're done, bro.
I do want to.
That's it. This could be the last twin picks.
Last debate was between sleeper picks and March Madness, and my sleeper pick went farther than yours. I just want to make that known. North Carolina made it. No, they both lost.
I'm about to say they both lost in the first round.
I forgot I picked North Carolina. I forgot. I was thinking I went somebody else.
All right, so this debate, gentlemen, y'all are going to be debating dark horse MLB teams.
Let's
let me be specific about this. I want you all to give me your case for a team that's going to make the playoffs that didn't make the playoffs last year.
So,
I love that.
So who won last time?
I did. I won.
So Chase,
do I go first?
Yeah, since you won last time.
Oh.
In 5, 4, 3, 2, go.
Okay. I'm thinking. This is kind of stressful. You know what? Okay, I got my team in mind. Okay. This is a team that, if I am not mistaken, getting a little allude to our Dinger Dudes podcast halfway through the season. After All-Star break, we did an episode where we talked about which team do we think is going to make a second half resurgence and make a postseason push. And the team I chose did not make the playoffs like I thought they were, but I think that they kind of reloaded. They got healthier this offseason, and I think they are in perfect position. They are in a favorable division that I think they could, if not win, at least sneak in the wild card. We'll look at the NL Central, boys. It's not the Chicago Cubs. It's the Cincinnati Reds, baby.
Okay.
I love the Cincinnati Reds right now for the talent they have. Now, it's young. They got a lot of young talent on that team. The pitching, if you go back to my Dinger Dudes episode, I thought that they were going to make some more strides in the bullpen at the trade deadline to help them make that postseason push, which they did not. They made no moves in the bullpen whatsoever, and that's still what I don't like about Cincinnati. They have a pretty rough bullpen. However, I do love the young talent they have in their lineup. I love McClain. I, of course, love Ellie De La Cruz, and I think Ellie De La Cruz is actually a dark horse MVP candidate in the National League.
I'm not looking up, and I'm looking up the standings in the division to make sure this team did not make the playoffs, because I genuinely cannot remember.
No, the Reds did not.
No, I'm talking about my team. You go ahead.
Okay, I'm about to say the Reds didn't make the playoffs.
You can look at my computer the whole time.
You're good.
I'm not looking at any stats.
You're good. So I think what I'm looking for the Reds to do now, I do fully expect, like last year, for their bullpen to struggle. But I think if they can keep in stride with the Cubs and the Brewers and the NL Central, at least by the All-Star break. No, not St. Louis is not even in that conversation. But by the All-Star break, by the trade deadline, maybe then, based on who's available, they can go out and make some pitching changes, because bats should be enough for them. But I think who they have in their batting order should be enough, but they can make improvements in their pitching, in their bullpen, especially by the deadline, which I thought they were going to do last year. I don't know if they're going to win the division over Milwaukee. I really don't. Chicago's up there too. They very well could, I think, but at least the wild card, and I think there's a good chance that the Cincinnati Reds can be dancing in the postseason come October.
Okay, and I did confirm that this team not made the playoffs. I don't know why I got a little airy in that.
The White Sox did not make the playoffs, Andrew.
Okay, and I was confused.
Neither did the Athletics. Just to point that out.
They were close. They were right up there. Okay, but you know what? I was going to go with another team. I was going to go with the San Francisco Giants originally, but I want to spice this up a little more.
That would have been a good one.
I want to spice this up a little bit more, and I'm going to keep it in the same exact division.
He's going Chicago.
I'm going to go the Chicago Cubs from the Windy City, because that is another team that has one of the most underrated starting rotations, and that's another team that got really busy in the offseason and pinpoint all the holes that kind of aired out their team last year. Let's just start with the rotation in Imanaga and Justin Steele. Those are two guys right there that didn't fly under the radar last year. They are highly respected, especially Imanaga now going into his sophomore season. But if you take a look at the spring numbers right now, the one thing that Imanaga has been working on all throughout spring is the kill pitch, because he did not have one of the more higher velocities in the MLB, and people thought that's what was dragging his game down. His fastball has come from the low 90s. He was throwing 101 in spring. Those are Paul Skeene numbers. Can you imagine if Imanaga's off-speed movement gets mixed in with a kill pitch that has the speed of a fastball that Paul Skeene throws? Livy Dunn might leave Paul Skeene to go to Imanaga. I'm just saying. Now let's go to Justin Steele, another guy who has been working on his numbers in spring, but he's been working on his control on the off speed. I gotta admit, his spring numbers have been a little flustered a little bit, but Justin Steele is one of the more veteran guys.
How
in that
can
roster.
two pitchers bring a team to a postseason, though?
Okay,
there's a lot of empty holes on that Cubs roster. I feel like.
not in the active roster anymore. Because let's look at the
Matt Shaw's a big question mark to me. I know he's a top prospect, but
let's look at the offseason acquisitions and the active roster. You got Kyle Tucker in the outfield.
That is huge.
This is a guy that was on everybody's radar as soon as he hit the free agent list, and the fact that the Cubs landed him in a hitter's friendly
it wasn't
ballpark,
free agent. They actually gave up a big
trade.
load.
That's right. Trade.
Including Cam Smith, who by the way made an MLB roster. Congratulations, Sam.
Yeah, congratulations, Cam Smith. The video was very emotional.
It was.
But think about a hitter's ballpark with a guy that has the bat power of Kyle Tucker. Now, this is a guy that's always maintained an average above like 280. Even in his off seasons, his average has never really dropped below that 260 range.
Not last year.
You put him in a hitter's ballpark, though, those numbers are going to fly through the radar. And I mean, you still got Dansby Swanson, who had an off season last year, but defensively, he's still going to be stellar. And they got a Justin Turner, a veteran guy who he's going to offer great numbers at the designated hitter position. I truly believe that. In Seattle, his numbers were not that outrageous. He was one of those hitters that flew under the radar, and he's kind of like, I guess, now Kyle Schwarber is not a guy that I'm comparing him to in terms of home run numbers, but like he's one of those guys that's going to get you like low to mid 20 home runs and kind of have an average at like the 230.
I don't know how often they're going to use Justin Turner.
Okay, but Justin Turner.
I don't expect that often.
In Seattle, now he's in a ballpark like
he
Chicago.
Didn't post those numbers last year.
He was a 20 home run hitter last year. I confirmed that. I confirmed that.
So you're cheating.
I wasn't cheating. I'm just saying I confirmed it. But
just now?
Because I already had the Cubs pick in mind. But regardless,
you're cheating.
Regardless, Justin Turner is a guy that I feel like kind of, because especially in the bottom half of that lineup is where the Cubs really got struck a lot. And I feel like, and like you even said yourself, the NL Central is wide open. Because even the Brewers did not make a big gap for that postseason run and winning the division.
The Brewers more equipped than any of the teams we made.
Exactly, but they weren't so that the gap in between the Brewers and everybody else was not outrageous enough to say this division is not as wide open as it is. And the Brewers still have a young enough roster where they can hit cold spurts mid-June or mid-July. And regardless, I think stacked up against the Reds roster, I would take the Cubs.
What did you confirm? Justin Turner had 5 home runs last year.
Justin Turner had 11.
Yeah, I just looked it up. He had 5.
He had 11.
I just looked it up.
He had 5 when he got traded.
I don't need y'all argument in the middle of my argument, okay?
I'm just saying that
you got 1 minute.
Not only you already broke the rules and you were wrong.
Okay, I didn't. Also, you also breaking the rules because I didn't talk in the middle of your speech.
All
You've
right,
talked a lot.
Yeah, screw rules, buddy.
Let's wrap it up.
Yeah, last few seconds.
You just violated so many rules that we made beforehand.
No, I didn't. No, regardless.
What do you mean regardless?
You're literally talking in the middle of my speech right now. NL Central, though, wide open. I think we can all agree that the Cubs roster stacks well against the Pirates. I think for face value,
I'm not worried about the Pirates.
The Cubs' active hitters, to me, stack up particularly well with the Reds, which is a team you just brought up.
All right. Well, here's one thing that we can all agree on is that the one team in the NL Central that's not going to be making the playoffs,
St. Louis.
And that's why nobody picked
Maybe
it.
worse than the Pirates.
No,
y'all
might be worse than Pirates.
Honestly, let me tell y'all something. The Pirates rotation this year is something to look at.
Mitch Keller, Jared Jones, Bubba Chandler, Paul Skeens.
They could have the sign
That's tough, man.
They don't have any.
They don't have any.
Brian Reynolds. Hey, don't sleep on Brian Reynolds.
They have Brian. McCutcheon's still in there.
Yeah.
Hey, they're rookie first baseman. That's now a sophomore.
We're talking about your argument, so I'll go first. I'll give my decision first. I like both of your arguments as far as like the two teams. I think they're both like going to bring a solid argument to the table, and they're going to be a good ball clubs this year. The only thing about both of these ball clubs is that they've had some really huge departures. Jonathan India, no longer a Red.
Yeah, that's bad.
He is with the Royals, and also with the Cubs.
I love Matt McClain.
Cubs, Cody Bellinger, gone from the Cubs, which honestly stinks. With the but. Like I said, they've replaced that bat with Kyle Tucker. And I'm looking at both of these rosters, and I'm looking at, who I think has a better shot at making October. I think I like the Cubs roster just a little bit more. I like their, the starting pitching's there. Jameson Taillon. They have Seiya Suzuki.
Yep.
They have my guy, Justin Steele in fantasy. We're going to talk about that later.
Sure.
I like the Cubs roster just a little bit more to make October.
Okay, so we had this discussion on Dinger Dudes, not a shameless plug, by the way. Dinger Dudes on Sunday.
As he says it twice.
We did.
Yeah. We had the discussion about the NL Central. Brewers, obviously, top contender for the NL Central. But when it comes to the Cubs and the Reds...
Brewers isn't obvious, by the way. Let's not get confused.
I'm sticking with what I said on Dinger Dudes. Both batting lineups match up.
Very well.
Both
Very well.
rotations honestly match up when Javier Assad comes back.
I don't like the Reds rotation that much, if I'm being honest. I'm a
Rhett Lauder, Hunter Green, Nick Lodolo, yes I do.
Compared to Chicago.
Hunter Green is a streaky guy.
I love Hunter Green, though.
Hold on. But there's one thing I did not name, and that comes to the bullpen. You said the Reds didn't make any acquisitions to the bullpen, correct?
Not last offseason. Oh, not trade deadline. I was talking about last trade deadline. They didn't.
Or in the offseason, they didn't make any acquisitions as well. The Cubs did.
Yeah.
And they got Ryan Presley, and I'm a big fan of Ryan Presley. A guy,
of course you are.
Yeah. No, he's an Astro. He was an Astro last season.
Did he play for the Cardinals back in the day?
Ryan Helsley.
Oh,
That's a different guy.
okay.
So when it comes down to it, I'm sticking with what I said on that show, and I just think the Cubs' bullpen is slightly better than the Reds, and that's what pushes me over the edge. So... Andrew Jefferson, you won it this week.
I still maintain my argument that I think I feel the pitching rotation just kind of slightly goes above the Reds just because, man, as you say, Hunter Green's a top 15 pitcher. I don't think I agree. I don't know.
He's a top 15 pitcher.
Hunter Green's a little inconsistent.
I'm high on Hunter Green. I think he's big. He's due for a resurgence here.
I was just talking with Gavin. I don't think Hunter Green's going to be a top 30 pitcher this year. That's how inconsistent he is.
That's crazy.
That's how inconsistent he is.
That's crazy.
He was just saying that to maybe sway you in a trade.
He wasn't even involved.
Hunter Green at his best.
He wasn't even involved in it.
Hunter Green at his best can be very good.
Before we go into the break and we give some love to the other shows, college students who binge drink alcohol at least 3 times per week were roughly 6 times more likely to perform poorly on a test or project as a result of drinking. That is why the Crafty Rabbit Meadery has joined Wolf Sports Network and Wolf Radio's Drink Responsibly campaign to remind students drinking should be done responsibly and in an environment that discourages overindulging. Faculty won't take hangovers as excuses.
Fine, Steven.
Wolf Radio and Wolf Sports Network are proud to boost literacy rates with our pre-K book drive. Our ongoing book drive will provide a new or gently used book to every child at UWG's pre-K monthly. Give today by visiting wolfradio.com/book drive. Together, Wolf Radio and Wolf Sports Network will make a brighter future. Visit wolfradio.com/book drive. And baby, we got merch! Oh! We got merch! So, if y'all are wanting to rock some awesome Wolf Sports Network merch, when it comes to fandom, nothing matters more than the fit. The logo you wear solidifies your love. Now you can be a Wolf Sports Network fanatic with our brand new merch store powered by Osier Apparel. Visit wolfsportsnetwork.com and click About. So we are going to go into a quick break where we're giving some love to the other shows. And when we come back, we're talking about fantasy baseball. So don't go anywhere.
Hey, yo, what up? My name is Josh Martinez from Z100 New York, and you're listening to my dudes from the Sports Out of Pocket on the Wolf Sports Network.
Hey, do you want to be a part of Wolf Sports Network?
Yeah!
Well, I have some good news for you because you can join us.
Woohoo!
So if you want to learn more about this, go to wolfsportsnetwork.com and click WIT Sports Program. With becoming a WIT, you expand your knowledge in the sports radio world and join our ever-growing family.
New face over there, you're not tripping. We got my guy JT over here shadowing the board. He's running through a WIT program right now.
Brandon, how you feeling, baby? Welcome to Sports
I'm feeling
Fan.
great being on here for the first time.
And we can't wait to meet you once you join us.
Over the horizon, a new show rises over Wolf Sports Network. To bring light to all things college sports. The Playbook, 6 to 7 p.m. every Tuesday on Wolf Sports Network. The Wolves play here.
It's a tale as old as time. All good things must come to an end. But this final ride is going to be legendary.
Oh, yeah.
More legendary than this.
Is this the dagger?
And this.
Diggs! Sideline! Touchdown!
So be sure to listen to Triple Threat every Friday starting at 11, only on Wolf Sports Network.
Wolf Sports Network is content heaven for a sports fan, but their show Sports Pack is my personal favorite. Sports Pack airs on Mondays and Thursdays from 6 to 7 on Wolf Sports Network, filled with fresh personalities, funny moments, and piping hot takes, along with call-ins that allow listeners to get in on the action. Check out Sports Pack every Monday and Thursday from 6 to 7, only on Wolf Sports Network.
Game one, hits it in the air to right. Back at the wall. Grand slam! 2 ball.
And now it's time to talk about some fantasy baseball.
Let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. There is nothing better than hearing those baseball calls again. It is baseball season, and you know what that means. It's also fantasy baseball season, and we made our drafts. It was a couple of weeks ago. We have our teams, and guess what? Before the season even starts, we have plenty of trades to talk about. Andrew's been cooking. Chase has been cooking. Jackson, have you made any trades yet?
He's trying.
I'm good with my team.
A for effort.
Jason Barker is cooking.
You shouldn't be because your rotation's questionable.
How about Gavin
My
Ellis?
rotation is the third, questionably second best in the entire
Gavin
league.
Ellis
I
has
don't wanna
made
hear that.
3 trades today.
Yeah, Gavin in our group has made unbelievable trades, but let's go ahead and talk about our teams and how confident we are. Andrew, I'm going to go ahead and start with you. Who's on your team? Why are you confident?
Sure. So let me just start off, first of all, by recapping the trades that I made today because they have blown up my roster in such a big way. Now, I made 2 trades today.
You're still ugly.
One with Jason Barker and one with Gavin Ellis. Now, this one with Jason Barker, now, when I drafted my team, I went pitching roster heavy because that is something that I lacked last season, and I really need to hone in. So I got players like Dylan Cease. I had Tyler Glass now. I have... Gotta go back to my team. There's so many I can't keep count. So I had Nick Pivetta, AJ Puck, Bryce Miller. Now this was a post trade. So let me just go back to the one that was confirmed earlier with Jason Barker, and I'll just kind of let you guys give your thoughts. So I gave Jason Barker Framber Valdez from the Houston Astros, who has huge potential to be a top 10 pitcher in the league this year. Jazz Chisholm, Devin Williams, who I think Devin Williams is the best relieving pitcher in the game. He's not pitching in Yankee Stadium, so we'll see how that goes. And in return, I got Bryce Miller and Bryce Harper. I got double dose of Bryce. Now, I really needed this because Nathaniel Lau was my starting first baseman because the first baseman was the last pick that I took in the draft because I completely left that position.
In a 12-man league, you're going to have to find something that's going to be your lack. You know, it's going to be something that's not going to be great.
And I have mine.
Now let's keep track of that. Nathaniel Lau is my first base, and it just got upgraded to Bryce Harper. Now another position that was flat was my third base position because Suarez from the Arizona Diamondbacks was the one filling in that position. He's like maybe a top 15 third baseman in the league. So I made a trade with Gavin, who just acquired Pete Alonso from, I believe, I can't remember, from Chase. Okay, well, Chase,
I have my hand up.
Chase will get to that. Chase will get to his side of the trade in a minute. And I got Alex Bregman to fill that third base hole, and I got Pete Alonso. So I gave up Bryce Harper for Pete Alonso just so I could get Alex Bregman.
Oh, man, giving up Bryce Harper is tough. But
I can
kind of understand, but dude, Bryce Harper's that guy.
Yeah.
But Chase, you made some acquisitions today as well.
I did. Listen, I'm not a guy who necessarily likes to make trades before the season starts. However, I had a big need in the outfield position because I have Aaron Judge, but other than that, I have Taylor Ward and Dylan Cruz. And Dylan Cruz especially, I'm not a big fan of being in my outfield. So I wasn't necessarily pushing to fix that immediately, but then Gavin came to me with a proposal.
Gavin was calling everybody.
Gavin really wanted Pete Alonso, and I was like, for the right price, I'll give you Pete Alonso. And initially, it was just Chris. He's going to give me Christian Walker and Gurriel Jr. To fix my outfield. But then he was like, well, if I'm giving you 2 pieces, I want Carlos Rodon as well. I was like, I'll give you Rodon, I'll give you Alonso, you give me Christian Walker, you give me Gurriel Jr., I'll be fine with that. And the reason being, people are like, you just gave away Pete Alonso like that? I don't think people realize Christian Walker and Pete Alonso are probably going to have similar seasons. Pete Alonso, he's a big home run hitter, so is Christian Walker. Yeah. They're both going to have around 40 home runs. They're probably both going to be around 260 batting average average hitters, maybe 250.
For
The
Pete Alonso,
only
anyways.
so yeah, the only
For
thing
both.
is and also for both of them, you got to really pay attention to if they're going to stay healthy or not.
That's true. And Christian Walker's actually already day-to-day, but thankfully he's already been given the okay to play tomorrow. And then also, Gurriel Jr. to me is a light years better leap than Dylan Cruz. I did not want Dylan Cruz in my
Stacked
lineup.
up against Dylan Cruz, of
So
course.
and Carlos Rodon was the worst guy in my rotation. So I could afford to lose both of those guys, and I fixed my outfield. A-okay with me.
All right, so limited time, Jackson. Tell me some key pieces in your team that you're really confident in.
First of all, I'm looking to bounce back from the past 2 seasons when I've been explaining my fantasy baseball stuff on Sports Out of Pocket. If y'all don't know, I've lost both of the last 2 seasons, and I've had to do the punishment both of the last 2
And
seasons.
yet he still talks crap to everybody in the league.
But there's 3 returners from last season who were shining bright stars of my team, the very glimpses of it. Jordan Westberg, Manny Machado, and Teoscar Hernandez. But I'm really liking my first-round pick in Juan Soto, and I'm loving my rotation with DeGrom, Flaherty, Fried, Houck, Cole Reagans, Robbie Ray. And by the way, 2 of these guys are returning to my rotation in Shane McClanahan and Ranger Suarez.
That's a good rotation.
A lot of fragile bones in that rotation.
My only low spot, honestly, I'm looking at is my catcher, and that's Austin Wells. But I'm liking my outfield in Teoscar Hernandez, Juan Soto, Christian Yelich, Lawrence Butler, who's going to hit 30 homers this year, in my opinion, and Tyler O'Neill, who also is a guy who hits 30 homers. So I'm liking my team out of the draft
So
this season.
let me go ahead and tell you about my team
Go ahead,
real
Steven.
quick.
What you got?
And it's the fact that it's something that I'm shocked by, because my first pick in the draft, I was the 3rd overall pick. And you're thinking to yourself, oh, well, the first overall pick was the first name that should probably come to your mind when it comes to baseball being a first
You would
overall
think
pick.
Ohtani.
You think
You
Ohtani.
think
But
Shohei
Gavin
Ohtani.
took offense instead, took Bobby Witt Jr., somebody that's going to obviously light up. He was a MVP caliber player last year, really stepped up for the Royals, and probably going to continue that this season.
In terms of fantasy, he might be the best.
And then
hitter.
the 2nd overall pick went to Chase, and he decided to go with power with Aaron Judge with the Yankees. And obviously, man, Aaron Judge, he could light it up for 50-something plus homers and be a really good guy. But the fact that Ohtani fell 3rd overall to me is absolutely insane. And you think I'm just going to pass on that? You think I'm just going to pick Juan Soto over Ohtani?
Yeah,
no.
he's
I'm
back on the
picking
mound.
Shohei Ohtani because he's not only going to be a part of my rotation, but he's also going to be my utility player in this lineup. So I am just so excited to see what Ohtani can do for my team. And obviously my infield around Ohtani does not look too bad either. I have Jake Cronenworth at first base, Ketel Marte, the best second baseman in the league. We have Rafael Devers, top 5 third baseman there.
You just agreed to become the designated hitter for the Red Sox.
Yeah, Rafael Devers is going to be. So they're going to put Bregman at third base permanently and Devers at DH.
So are they going to have Devers at third base for
So
fantasy
I don't know how that's
baseball?
going to. I don't know how that's going to affect it.
I don't know, but guess what? If they do, guess who I have on the bench? Mr. Jake Berger.
But that's going to improve that's going to improve Devers' numbers.
Burger
for you.
bombs. I also have Burger, but also the guy that I think is going to put up some numbers this year, and he's underrated in the shortstop position, is C.J. Abrams for the Nationals.
Oh, yeah,
I think
sure.
C.J. Abrams has been one of the guys that's been a solid piece for the Nationals lineup for the last few years, and has really stepped up to be their guy that they can rely on. So I'm looking at C.J. Abrams to have a great year. Duran's in the outfield. I got Profar. I'm looking for Profar to have a great season with the Braves, and then catcher. Listen, catcher sucks. Okay,
Very
the catching
scarce.
besides like the top 5 is not great in the MLB. Is not going to give you great numbers.
It's like
you know-
drafting a tight end.
But you know who does?
Yes.
You know who does give you great numbers? How about Cal Riley?
Okay.
From the
He
Mariners.
just got signed to an extension.
He got
30
paid.
Somebody that's probably going to put up 35 home runs. The average isn't going to be up there. He gets strikes out a lot. I don't care. The man's going to put up great numbers for me. He had 34 home runs and 100 RBIs last year. But my dark horse is that rotation. Not really confident in it. I have Ohtani and Luis Castillo. Reynaldo Lopez. I got Lopez in there. Lopez can.
Yep.
That's solid. But just everybody else. Justin Steele, you're not really sure. Gore, you're not really sure. Seth Lugo, is he going to continue what he did last year? Who knows?
Hey.
But like I said,
give you
overall,
Ranger
I
Suarez.
love how I was able to draft my team. I love how it looks. And I am confident in getting some wins for this
I know we
fantasy
have
baseball
like 30
season.
seconds, but let me just name out this trade that was just made between Jason Barker and Phillip, which is one of our wits at the station. So
He's not a wit anymore.
Well, not anymore.
Whoa,
Sorry,
I'm about to say, I
former
said-
wit. Former wit. So Phillip received Freddie Freeman, Yamamoto, and O'Neill Cruz from Jason, and Jason got in return Segna from the
Senga
from the Mets. Excuse me. Jazz Chisholm, who he just got from me earlier today, and Trey Turner.
Also, I
think Philip wins that trade.
I do.
I think Philip wins that trade. I'm not gonna lie. It's kind of hard to judge.
It's Freddie Freeman, O'Neal Cruz, and Yamamoto.
Yep.
For
all these
Senga, Trey Turner.
There's
Jazz Chisholm.
It's crazy, man.
In a whirlwind right now.
Players are flying left and right between teams.
We're
I
not
don't know
even
what's
at
going on
opening day
anymore.
yet,
I
which
do
is
want to say
ridiculous.
the reason for I was actually going to take Ohtani at number 2, but the day before the draft, Jason Barker took me out of it, and it was only because I didn't want Ohtani in my utility. I wanted to have a different option in my utility.
Dude,
that was the only thing that kept me away.
I had Ohtani last season, and look where it got me. So, Steven, I'm hoping that
it wasn't Ohtani's fault you ended up there.
MVP.
It wasn't Ohtani's fault you ended up last.
Yeah, Ohtani was MVP, buddy.
How can you blame the MVP for your woes?
Yeah,
it wasn't
I'm a
Ohtani's
great
fault.
GM. I'm coming off a fantasy football win.
You're a GM just like your Cardinals. Like y'all are perfect for each other.
All right, well, gentlemen, bets on the table because it's time for roster roulette.
This is roster roulette.
All right, so our roulettes for this week are going to the Twins. So who's going first? It looks like it's Andrew. Andrew, what you got for us?
Okay, so since baseball season's in the air, there is nothing better. I mean, I'm a lover of all sports, but there is nothing better. I know what Steven's laughing at.
I thought that said Krusty. I was like, are we doing Krusty Krab?
No.
What is happening, bro?
Hey, before we start, Jackson, Wrigley Field, please don't tell me you misspelled hot dogs, or is that how you spell it?
No, it's called hot dogs.
Okay,
sausages.
I thought for a minute he misspelled hot dogs.
No, I think that's their actual.
I wasn't
that's
about to
hot
leave.
dog.
It's the actual food.
I had to make sure. I had the disclaimer.
Yeah.
Thank
And
you.
Jackson also did Wrigley's Field a huge disservice by using a painted portrait of the outside venue. Like, it's okay. We're gonna go past that.
Yeah, you didn't get the good
I
shot
didn't get the
of
ivy.
Oh man, buddy.
But regardless,
that's the big part about Wrigley.
Look, I'm a lover of all sports, but
That's a good picture,
I think we
Hey,
can all
I'm
agree.
a Cardinals fan. Let me do what I want to do.
Look, we can all agree that there is
Cubs.
nothing better than going to an MLB game, the smells of the food, the aroma of baseball in the air
aura
on
factor,
a cool,
man.
crisp summer
yeah.
afternoon.
Fill
Listen,
up selling popsicles?
so we got 3 of what could be argued to be the
Y'all
best.
probably don't get that joke. Y'all weren't part of that conversation.
Look, we got 3 of what could arguably be the best venues in all of the MLB stacked up with each other, and you guys have to choose between PNC Park, Oracle Park, and Wrigley Field. Y'all guys got the table? Y'all know your
Okay.
job. Y'all know your job.
I'll start it off. That's fine. I am looking at Oracle Park specifically, and that is what's that? Which one?
The Giants.
That's
The San
Giants.
Francisco Giants.
That's okay. Good. I was just double checking on that one because I always loved the San Francisco Giants ballpark of like as a kid growing up because I just
doesn't?
love anytime like dude. One of my favorite memories from the Brave season last year was Michael Harris coming back from injury and his first at bat hitting that grand slam into was it McCovey Cove? McCovey Cove. Watching baseballs go into McCovey Cove is like the reason that you want to go to the Giants ballpark, but also the structures that they have there, the big ball glove, the big the Coke bottle that's there.
Tell me another ballpark you can bring a canoe at.
Absolutely. So
I'm
with
just saying.
that being said, I think just because of that factor alone, I'm going to go Oracle Park at starting.
Beautiful pick.
I was going to
Beautiful
say the
pick.
Crazy Crab sandwich would have been my first pick.
That's fine, man. I'll take a crazy crab sandwich.
When
Are you
Jackson
kidding me?
is talking about baseball stadiums, the only thing that he consumes about these stadiums is the food. He doesn't consume the sport, the aroma, the fans. He just wants the food.
And just because
Big factor.
of the history alone.
No, you're a big factor.
The history alone, because
in
don't get me
Mexico.
wrong.
That's crazy.
PNC Park, I love the fact that the announcers. Okay, we're gonna give it a little chance to collect ourselves.
Yeah, we're good. We're good.
We're new
Okay.
announcers, bro.
So the announcers are like that's the one that has the Jolly Roger for the Pirates. I love the announcers.
the Jolly
Raise the
Roger.
Jolly Roger. Anytime they do a walk-off
Yes.
win, and like obviously PNC Park, they're in Steel City. Like the structure of that stadium's incredible.
The backdrop.
But the history alone, I have to go Wrigley Field on my bench because man, like what's the one place is like you're talking about baseball parks that you want to go visit. The top ballparks that are on your list, Wrigley Field's one of them. You just want to see like the history of it, the ivy, and just like the atmosphere around it. Like don't get me wrong, man. I'm not trying to go to Chicago for a lot of other things, but going there for a baseball game is one of those
If you
things.
can make it there live, you'll enjoy yourself.
Oh, that's terrible. That's Chase.
Hey, that's only towards the
hey,
White Sox stadium.
listen.
Field, you're fine.
when I when I look at ballparks, and what does it to me of ballparks? I love ballparks with great backdrops and just great scenery. Like, that just makes the moment. Like, imagine watching a night game at Oracle Park, watching the sunset up right above the Cove, and just watching a Giants game there. Like, that had to be magical. And remember the night that Barry Bonds broke the home run record? Like, imagine what that was like behind that scenery. What?
That fraud?
Yeah, that fraud. Yeah, him.
I think the rented
when like that night that the Giants won the pennant, like that Joe Buck call.
Yeah,
like Giants win the pennant, like that playoff atmospheres in San Francisco got to be different.
It's unbelievable. And same with PNC Ballpark, having the bridge in the background. It's one of the best backdrops.
Cueto. And he just drops the ball and has to like recollect it.
And the fans
just go nuts.
And then Wrigley Field, the backdrop's not it's not the nicest, but like the ballpark itself, it's beautiful. It's historic. But I love backdrops, man. And Oracle Park has the best one for me.
But can the fans paint a portrait like Wrigley Field for
But
Oracle?
not only are there players scumbags like you, Barry Bonds, doing steroids, and I'm talking you, Dave Udlin, Mr. McCovey Cove catcher, who wanted to what was
take
it?
the Michael Harris baseball away.
Because they're scumbags, give me PNC Park number 1.
All right.
Oracle Park's number 2. Wrigley Field, you're out.
Wrigley Field's cut.
Wow. Look, I'm gonna toss my Cardinals bias
I spit
aside because we
everywhere,
still
by
have
the
to
way.
get to Chase's roster.
Got a
roulette.
shower over here. It's fine.
Yeah. I'm honestly looking at the biggest factor here on this roster roulette.
The crazy
and
crab
that's the
sandwich.
food.
The crazy crab sandwich.
That's the food.
Gotta get some glizzies.
Anyways, you also forget when it comes to the playoff factor. You also got to remember Madison Bumgarner in his run from 2010 to 2016.
But we're not talking about players. We're talking about
No. I'm talking about moments in those parks. Like Madison.
Everybody's like the crazy.
And then Wrigley Field when they won the Game 7 of 2016.
How big is a sausage?
I've never been to Wrigley Field.
Oh.
But
we figured that's just something you just know, though.
Yeah, it's
probably
a foot long. Anyways, Oracle Park is probably my number one.
Why is that not number 1?
And now Oracle Park is probably my number 1 again. The McCovey Cove.
Yeah,
that's
100%.
just the most beautiful backdrop that you can imagine for an MLB stadium. Number 2, I've never been to PNC Park or Wrigley, but just based on, I guess, the history behind it, thrown back to it, I got to go Wrigley Field at 2, and then PNC Park at 3.
I'm gonna keep it short because y'all did all the talking. I love me some water, especially at a ballpark. I got Oracle number 1, Wrigley number 2 because of the history. Love PNC, but stacked between those two, those are number 3. Let's move on.
We got 4 minutes, guys, and we are in the heart of March Madness. So I thought it was appropriate to break down some of the best Cinderella runs in the history of March Madness. And you got a beautiful list here. Now, this is going to be a little interesting. Every single one of these teams were 11 seeds, and they all made it to the Final Four. Okay. So they're pretty even. It's just, which one's better? We got 06 George Mason, the original Cinderellas, by the way. You got 2011 VCU and 2018 the Loyola Chicago.
God, what a year.
Go at it, boys.
Okay, so here's the problem with this list for me is the fact that I didn't really get into March Madness until I was graduating high school. By the way, 2016, I know I'm old, but
well, that must have been back in 06 then.
Yeah, I did not pay attention to anything for as far as VCU or George Mason, and obviously you want the bias to go there because look at that. That's 2 number 1s they're knocking off into getting into the Final Four. So that is for me, that's the reason that I have to put George Mason number 1, and then VCU, man, they took down y'all's Florida State number 10.
Man.
That was a good team that year, wasn't it?
Can you take a guess as to where I'm putting them?
But but honestly, that's the reason that I'm kind of on the same wavelength as you. I mean, I want to put them at number 2, but dude, that Loyola Chicago run was unbelievable. I mean, is that the one that has the sister the nun?
Sister Jean. Dude, I live 30 minutes from Chicago when this happened, and you don't understand. Normally, everybody up there is either an Illinois or Wisconsin fan, but everybody came together, collaborated, world peace when Loyola Chicago.
To me, Sister Jean should be a performance enhancer.
So yeah,
I'm pretty sure she's still.
I'll put Loyola on the bench, and then I'll go ahead and put VCU, and I'll set him down.
Look, okay, so I'm going to have to go number one, George Mason, because they are the team that sparked the tradition of a Cinderella story. The first ever, because the 64-team bracket didn't really get expanded until like 1995, and George Mason was the first one to be a bottom 10 seed and go all the way to the Final Four. Is that where they made it?
They all made the Final Four.
Exactly. And they took down number one UConn, who was a juggernaut. They've always been a juggernaut school,
And
especially in the mid-2000s.
How good Wichita State was in that era, too.
And then, you see MSU at 6, Michigan State, and then so they're going to be my start. Look, Loyola Chicago, that is still to this day my favorite March Madness tournament ever. Mainly because of Loyola Chicago. And they had that insane buzzer beater to knock off Miami. They had that down-to-the-wire finish against Tennessee. And then that Elite Eight game against Kansas State when everyone knew they were going to the Final Four in the winding seconds and the whole stadium
They won by
erupted.
16.
And look, nothing will make you appreciate wrinkles more than a Sister Jean, let me tell you. So, Sister Jean, she boosts that rating up tremendously. And VCU knocked off my Florida State Sentinels.
I'm gonna have nightmares tonight.
They're going to get the cut regardless. So that's my roster.
Pushing it to me. Again, I didn't start watching March Madness until about the 2012 era, so like the year after VCU. But I'm looking back at it, and again, I live 30 minutes away from the Loyola Chicago, and you don't understand how much aura. That term wasn't used back then, but aura that Loyola Chicago team had. But at my start,
I wish it wasn't used now either.
So I'm looking at it. I don't know I know the original Cinderella runs, and just based on my history with March Madness, I'm going to cut them because I don't know too much when it comes to that. But VCU and Loyola, I'm looking at this 2011 VCU team. I'm going to start them, and here is why. I saw who they had to face against in this 2011 Kansas team, and guess who that was? You should know. You guys are twins. The Morris twins.
Oh, okay.
Marcus and Markeith Morris. Okay. Those guys were dogs all season for the 2011 Kansas team, and to go that far, and I was looking at, like, it's just based on standings. Like, I understand Loyola Chicago beat Admiral Schofield, Grant Williams, guys like them, but this Kansas team was pretty much unbeatable all season until they went against VCU.
Can we all agree that all their hairlines suck?
Hey, I'll make this quick.
Like, is that the formula for a Cinderella?
I got history lessons for y'all. Do y'all know who Roger Bannister is?
No.
The guy on the left.
He was the first ever guy to run a mile in under 4 minutes in 1954, and people said that George Mason's run was more improbable than that. And it was the original Cinderellas, the OGs, so they get the start. And people don't know this. The first four started in 2011, and at the time, people thought the first four was a bad idea because they didn't think those teams could compete. First year they did it, VCU, first team to go first four to Final Four. They get the bench. I'm cutting Little Chicago. Sorry, Sister Jean. Don't make me do last.
All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and go into a quick break, show some love to the other shows. But before we do that, in a recent survey, almost 53% of full-time college students ages 18 to 22 drank alcohol in the past month. That is why the Crafty Rabbit Meadery has joined Wolf Sports Network and Wolf Radio's Drink Responsibly campaign, reminding you that there is no drinking under the age of 21. Never drink and drive, even if it's one beer. And add food and water when you drink so you don't end up texting your ex.
Fine, Steven.
Which means know your limits. Guys, come on. Wolf Radio and Wolf Sports Network are proud to boost literacy rates with our pre-K book drive. Our ongoing book drive will provide a new or gently used book to every child at UWG's pre-K monthly. Give today by visiting wolfradio.com/book drive. Together, Wolf Radio and Wolf Sports Network will make a brighter future. Visit wolfradio.com/book drive. Hey, guys. Y'all want some merch?
Yeah,
you want some
dude,
hats? Hey, why don't you go ahead?
I'm tired of being shirtless.
You know what? I am tired of just, I've worked for Wolf Sports Network so long, and guess what? Now we got merch, baby. Woo! We got merch, baby. So when it comes to fandom, nothing matters more than the fit. The logo you wear solidifies your love. Now you can be a Wolf Sports Network fanatic with our brand new merch store powered by Osier Apparel. Visit wolfsportsnetwork.com and click about.
I'm just waiting for that birthday suit.
Go
to
check
go on
it
sale.
out, man. Lots of good stuff. You got shirts, we got hats, we got keychains. Go check it out, man. But yeah, we're going to go ahead, show some love to the other shows, and when we get back, we're going to get fired up because our brackets ain't looking too good.
This is the Philly Sports Guy, and you're listening to Sports Out of Pocket on Wolf Sports Network.
Hey, do you want to be part of Wolf Sports Network?
Yeah!
Well, I have some good news for you because you can join us. So if you want to learn more about this, go to wolfsportsnetwork.com and click WIT Sports Program. With becoming a WIT, you expand your knowledge in the sports radio world and join our ever-growing family.
New face over there, you're not tripping. We got my guy JT over here shadowing the board. He's running through a WIT program right now.
Brandon, how you feeling, baby? Welcome to Sports
I'm feeling
Back.
great being on here for the first time.
And we can't wait to meet you once you join us.
Over the horizon, a new show rises over Wolf Sports Network. To bring light to all things college sports. The Playbook, 6 to 7 p.m. every Tuesday on Wolf Sports Network. The Wolves play here.
It's a tale as old as time. All good things must come to an end. But this final ride is going to be legendary.
Oh, yeah.
More legendary than this.
Is this the dagger?
And this.
Diggs! Sideline! Touchdown!
So be sure to listen to Triple Threat every Friday starting at 11, only on Wolf Sports Network.
You know who it is. It's Carly. And I have one last semester. Colorado State just announced that they will be joining the Pac-12 along with a bunch of other Mountain West teams. I have the absolute honor to sideline report on ESPN
Yes,
Plus.
sir.
Florida State is a fraud and has always been a fraud. Let's make it a good one. Tune into Sports Pack every Monday and Thursday at 6 p.m. on Wolf Sports Network. The Wolves play here.
I am having a very bad day. I am in no mood. This is one of the worst days that I've had in a long time.
Fire me up. All right, so we have gone through the round of 64 and the round of 32. We are now in the Sweet 16, and of course, nobody's bracket made it through the first few rounds because that's how it always is in March Madness. It's crazy, it's ridiculous, and just when you think that you have a team like Clemson, I'm going to start off with you because I had Clemson going to the Sweet 16. And what did they do in the first round? They lost to McNeese. The aura of the manager ended up. Is that his name? Khan?
Oh, the assistant manager.
The manager for the McNeese.
The aura of McNeese made Clemson look like cons.
Yes, sure. Let's go with that.
Amir Khan is.
But yeah, that's the whole thing. Is that we thought Clemson was going to be a good team this year. They were the 5th seed. They had a great season. And then guess what, man? McNeese came in there and they just they killed them in the first half. Clemson made it a game in the second half. They were able to come back from a 20-point deficit and they got within 2 points. But McNeese was able to shut it down and they were able to move on to the next round to where they got killed. Obviously, that's just how it happens. Sometimes Cinderella teams don't make it past the second round. It's tough, but like I said, unbelievable. That's the game that knocked me out. But man, at least I didn't put Clemson in my Final Four. Also in their Final Four that got knocked out, Wisconsin is also out of the tournament. Jackson, what the heck, man?
He's on his phone to distract himself.
Hey, look, I did a lot of talking about this on the Playbook yesterday, by the way, every Tuesday at 6 p.m. Make sure to go check that out. But, yeah, Wisconsin and Clemson are both out. They were both my Final Four picks. But Florida and Michigan State were my other 2 Final Four picks. And right now, I'm sitting pretty at the number 4 spot.
Buddy, 50% of your bracket is cooked.
Dude, no, I'm sitting pretty at the number 4 spot right now.
I'm number 4. You're looking at the wrong one.
I look at what I usually look at these groups is
with you.
The amount of points that you can get though.
Max points. My max points, I'm ranked. Hold on. Can I pull?
You're second behind Joey.
I'm 12.
We're both 450 on max points. But here's the thing. 2 of your Final Four is gone. 7 of my Elite 8 is still intact. My whole Final Four is
max points, I'm ranked 12.
I might have not got the picks in the 64 and 32 right, but 7 of my 8 Elite 8 is still intact. And I told y'all about BYU. Richie Saunders is a dog.
Look, them super soakers are soaking right now. I'm not going to lie to you. And listen.
The Mormons.
Look, listen, and I'm just going to say this right now. Stephen A. Smith especially, and to everybody who is sitting there saying Cinderella is dead, let this be an homage to you that March Madness is still great, even when you don't have Cinderella losing her slipper. Because if it happened every year, then why would it be special? And we've had years like this before. 2016, 2018, 2019.
Every year before 2006.
They didn't have any Cinderella runs, but they were still one of the best tournaments to watch, and I think this pays homage to that. Now, I've got a 75% rate on my Final Four right now because St. John's, who was one of the most, I think, highly anticipated top 3 seeds in the bracket.
What a horrible streak, too, man.
I had St. John's out at the round.
Look at the coaching philosophy that the team plays with. It's kind of like a Tom Izzo philosophy. They play 90s and 80s Virgin style basketball, and I think that the lack of offense from beyond the arc is really what caught up to them. Because look, even though they
atrociously from 3,
even though they blew past Omaha in the first round, that first half very sketchy until they found their stride.
They shot. Can I bring up something really quick? Guess how much percentage they shot beyond the arc?
It was under 30. It was
less than that. It was 22%, right?
Less.
11%. 9%.
Gosh, dude.
And they were a 3-point shooting team head tournament. And this one had to hurt Rick Pitino, by the way, because a lot of people don't know this. Well, we all know when he went to Louisville, the one title that he has got taken away because of some controversy. So he's trying to make up a name for himself. He was involved in the controversy. He's trying to clear his name. But he was going against a favorable matchup against Arkansas, against Joe Calipari, which, by the way, John Calipari, sorry. This is the 4th time he's faced Calipari in March Madness. He's 0-4 against Calipari. Has never beat him. So not only is his name still dirty, he cannot beat Calipari, and he's scrambling for answers.
So now I'm looking at everybody's group, and I'm looking at the teams that we picked. The 2 games we're going to have to pay attention to in the round of Sweet 16 is Auburn versus Michigan and Michigan State versus Ole Miss, because Ole Miss and Michigan have looked good in this tournament, and they are not looking to just roll over and die with these good teams in Auburn and Michigan State. They're going to put up a fight, and let me tell you that if Auburn loses, that messes up a lot of people, because I think Auburn's in a lot of people's Final Four and in championship games. In fact, Carly, I think, was the only one that has Auburn as their champion.
Yeah.
Also, Michigan State is in a lot of people's. There's 3 groups, including you, that have Michigan State as the champion.
And a lot of groups have Final Four.
I have Michigan State in my Final Four.
Michigan State's in my champion. A game I'm looking out for is I have
Kentucky
Bama
and Tennessee.
I have Bama beating BYU, but I think BYU could very well beat Bama.
Also,
especially
same thing.
Facing a team that's really bad defensive efficiency. BYU is the most explosive offense in all the tournament.
I've got Tennessee going into the Final Four as well, and that's a tough route too.
I have Kentucky.
Florida has not really made me confident, because I got Florida as my champion, and that game against UConn.
It took some.
UConn?
Yeah, it took some crazy shots from their point guard down the stretch.
Man, Conley just really clutched up for Florida in those last couple of 3-point shots to get them into the round of Sweet 16. So it's going to take some more clutch shots in order for Florida to get into this championship game, because, man, right now, I'll be honest with you guys, Duke looks like they're the front runner.
And that's
so good, dude.
Joe Jackson.
I was going to say really quick, sticking on the SEC topic, a lot of people had Tennessee in the Final Four as well.
Yes.
So if Kentucky, due to the previous history with Kentucky and March Madness, beats Tennessee, that's going to ruin a lot of brackets as well.
Let me tell you this.
At least we didn't pick Gonzaga. Isn't that right, JT?
Hey, don't call it that blonde stud back there. Now, let me tell you,
Gonzaga was a terrible pick.
I'm glad you said Duke and Arizona, because I have Arizona getting by Duke and finishing in the Final Four. Now, this is a pick that going into it, I was really confident about, because there's a philosophy that if you look back in recent history, the teams that make deep runs in March Madness are the teams that are led by seasoned veteran point guards.
Yeah.
Caleb Love has been around the game of college basketball for 4 strong seasons now, going around the country at North Carolina, now in Arizona. So I thought for sure. But watching this Duke team play, even without Cooper Flagg in the ACC tournament, they look like the best freaking team in the nation.
Cooper Flagg is back. He's healthy, and he's a dog.
Yeah.
I mean, that injury did not affect him at all.
Top to bottom, I don't care what you say about the SEC. Top to bottom, Duke has the best roster.
Like I said, all I'm hoping, and right now it's not looking that way because I am tied with 4th for with Jackson and Chase here. Just don't want to finish last in this group. And as long as my Final Four teams can stick it out this year, then I think that I'm going to be fine and I'm going to avoid last place. Yep. That's all you're really looking to hope for with this group bracket in the March Madness. But with all that being said, that is it for Sports Out of Pocket. tonight. We will be back next Wednesday at 5, same time, same place. Make sure y'all are tuning into the other shows here. Sports Pack Thursday, 6 to 7, and we got Triple Threat coming in on Friday at 11. And also, man, y'all want to turn into the Playbook on Tuesdays at 6. Plenty of great shows to look forward to at Wolf Sports Network. We're giving out content like it's free. We're just giving it out, man. We're giving it out, baby, like it's candy. And
unlimited.
Growing Wolf Sports Network every day, man. And we ain't got too much longer, man. We only got a month left for Sports Out of Pocket. I'm going to enjoy every second with you guys. So with all that being said, from Andrew, Chase, Jackson, I have been your host, Steven. We will see you all next week.